Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Samuel and Spencer both shook their heads. That's nothing. No one would dare to say a word even if we're late. Nicole raised her eyebrow. That's because. Samuel, in a somewhat miffed tone, said, "We don't want you to get married to Jared so soon." Thinking that the two of them had decided things over a meal, the two brothers were not very happy about it. Nicole smiled playfully. "Being jealous now? Then the two of you can consider getting married early too." With Nicole twisting their words against them, the two of them found themselves at a disadvantage. "We didn't mean that." Samuel was embarrassed. However, Nicole continued to tease them. "But you're all adults now and should be thinking about your future. Hurry up and find yourselves a girlfriend." As she said that, Nicole opened the door and got into the car. Samuel and Spencer awkwardly followed her into the car. "We want to, but we don't want to just make up the numbers." Nicole raised her eyebrow. "To me, Lulu and June are pretty fine girls, no?" Both Samuel and Spencer blushed. But when they thought of the two girls, neither of them felt any repulsion. If you like them, then seize the chance. Both Lulu and June are beautiful and have class. You won't have that much time to see each other once you get into the university division. The moment Nicole reminded them, the twins looked sheepishly at each other and did not say a word. Seeing that the two were no longer downcast, Nicole smiled slightly. Soon, the car arrived at the Riddle family residence. As this was a discussion about their marriage, the location was set at the family residence. Once Mr. Riddle Sr. had learned about it, he had been busying himself the whole day. And now, he was waiting for the arrival of Mr. Johnston Sr. By the time Nicole arrived, her parents and brothers were already there. Perhaps because he feared discord, Mr. Riddle Sr. seemed like he did not intend to invite all of her uncles to this occasion. Nicole's parents had Mrs. Wallace Sr. over as well, and she was now chatting with Mr. Riddle Sr. When they saw Nicole arrive, both Mr. Riddle Sr. and Mrs. Wallace Sr. smiled brightly. "You're here, Nicole. Come, have a seat." "Okay." Nicole smiled and sat between Mrs. Wallace Sr. and Gloria. "Thank you, Grandma." It did not sit right with her to trouble Mrs. Wallace Sr. for her affairs. "What's there to thank me for? I'm staying at your place right now, and your parents are taking care of me. It's no trouble at all." Today was a big day and she was naturally very elated. Mr. Riddle Sr. looked at Mrs. Wallace Sr. and said somewhat emotionally, "You're like Nicole's own grandmother. You have to be present on such great occasions like today." Mrs. Wallace Sr. did not think that the Riddle family would revere her like that, and could not help but let out a genial smile. "Thank you, Mr. Riddle Sr., for your kind treatment." She would have never thought that she would one day sit at the same table with VIPs like Mr. Riddle Sr. and Mr. Johnston Sr. "Of course. I've always been thankful to you. If you hadn't raised Nicole up so well, I wouldn't have such a good granddaughter." It was Nicole who had revitalized the Riddle Corporation, and she was brought up by Mrs. Wallace Sr., so he was naturally grateful to the latter. Mrs. Wallace Sr. was a little embarrassed by the attention Mr. Riddle Sr. had given her and said somewhat awkwardly, "You flatter me, Mr. Riddle Sr. Nicole is also my granddaughter, so it's only right that I love and dote on her." It was only then did Mr. Riddle Sr. realize that his gaze was a little too fiery and he immediately picked up a glass. "Have a try. This is a prized Earl Grey that I've kept for a long time now." "All right." Mrs. Wallace Sr. nodded, slightly embarrassed. Seeing how the two interacted, Nicole could not help but sense something, but she chose to say nothing. Soon, a voice came from the door. Alfred then led Jared and Mr. Johnston Sr. into the manor. The moment he stepped through the door, Mr. Johnston Sr. exclaimed, "Mr. Riddle Sr., the day has finally come." Mr. Riddle Sr. quickly got up. "Indeed. The feeling is mutual." Mr. Johnston Sr. looked at Mr. Riddle Sr. and smiled happily. "We didn't arrange this marriage for nothing, so I came here bearing a grand gift." Mr. Riddle Sr. did not expect Mr. Johnston Sr. to jump straight to gift-giving the moment he stepped into the house. He found himself in an awkward situation. "Oh no, you didn't have to." "Why not?" "It's an honor for my grandson to be able to marry a girl like Nicole. So, as his grandfather, I must of course have something to show for." As he said that, Mr. Johnston Sr. motioned to a follower behind him to bring something forward. When the big object covered in red cloth was brought over, everyone could not help but turn to look at it. Mr. Johnston Sr. smiled happily as he pulled the red cloth away. A brilliant emerald stone soon appeared before everyone. Nicole's gaze suddenly deepened. She was a gemologist, and could tell the authenticity of such a brilliant emerald at a glance. She did not expect that Mr. Johnston Sr. would have such a large emerald with him. Although the carving was simple, it was very lifelike, which showed that it was the work of a grandmaster. The Verdant Brilliance by Graf Wittgenstein. There was no trace of doubt in Nicole's voice, only confidence. Mr. Johnston Sr. did not expect that the person who would be able to tell the name of the piece would be Nicole. "You could tell whose work this is with just a glance, lass?" Mr. Johnston Sr.'s gaze toward Nicole filled with even more admiration. It was very rare for someone to have such keen eyes and knowledge at such a young age. Everyone looked at Nicole one after another. It was only then did Nicole realize that she had subconsciously blurted out the gem's name in her surprise. With this as it was, she could say, "I did some light research on Graf Wittgenstein's work before." The Interpol had investigated many major international treasure cases, so it was natural for her to learn how to inspect treasures from a young age in the organization. However, she only learned the basics there and later on focused on the masterpieces of a few famous grandmasters. There were plenty of treasures whose authenticity was difficult to ascertain that were inspected by her. But as time went on, she could tell the authenticity and workmanship of these collection pieces with just a glance. "Some light research." Mr. Johnston Sr. smiled. "For you to be able to tell who the grandmaster was behind this piece, this is an ability of a professional gemologist. You're being too humble, lass." The moment he said that, everyone looked at Nicole again. They knew that Nicole liked to be humble, and so after what was said, they too felt Nicole was definitely much more skilled than she let on to be. Yet, they did not expect Mr. Johnston Sr. to view her so highly. Seeing that she was unable to keep that hidden anymore, she could only divert the topic. "It's just your fine collection, sir." "And you're still calling me sir. Time to call me grandpa now." Mr. Johnston Sr. smiled at Nicole. Nicole could not help but blush a little. But she could only sputter the word out in embarrassment. "Grandpa." "Good. Ha ha ha, this is so worth it. Mr. Riddle Sr., please accept the gift." All right. Mr. Riddle Sr. did not dare refuse the gift and quickly asked the servant to receive the gift. At this moment, Mr. Johnston Sr. went to Nicole. "You have a keen eye, lass. If you have time in the next 2 days, come to my place and help me identify some other precious gems I have." He was a little frustrated that he could not find someone reliable to inspect his gems. He did not expect Nicole to be a gemologist, and that was an unexpected pleasant surprise. Nicole did not refuse. "All right." Seeing this, Jared could not help but raise his eyebrows. How many more things does this girl know? I've really got myself a gem. After accepting the gift, Mr. Riddle Sr. led Mr. Johnston Sr. and Jared to the dining hall. At that moment, the chef and servants had already prepared a lavish feast. Seeing that, Mr. Johnston Sr. could not help but say, "Oh, you didn't have to do this, Mr. Riddle Sr." Mr. Riddle Sr. smiled genially. "Think nothing of it. You've prepared such a big gift for us. This is only natural." The two elderly men politely bowed to each other and took their seats. Mrs. Wallace Sr. was arranged by Daniel to sit beside Mr. Riddle Sr. Mr. Johnston Sr. gave Mrs. Wallace Sr. a glance. "Is this your missus?" After some hesitation, this was the guess Mr. Johnston Sr. made. However, Mr. Riddle Sr.'s wife had passed away a long time ago. When did he take a new wife? Mrs. Wallace Sr. suddenly found herself in an awkward spot. She had never encountered such a situation before and did not know what to say. Yet, Mr. Riddle Sr. smiled. "She isn't my wife, but this is Mrs. Wallace Sr., who had raised Nicole since young, so she's naturally a part of our family. Mr. Johnston Sr. immediately knew that he had misunderstood things and laughed. Ah, so she's the lady who raised Nicole. My bad, my bad. Mrs. Wallace Sr. smiled embarrassedly, looking a little bashful. Mr. Johnston Sr. looked at Mrs. Wallace Sr.'s graceful and gentle face and could not help but glance at Mr. Riddle Sr. However, Mrs. Wallace Sr.'s face is indeed extraordinary. It's easy to cause a misunderstanding like this. Mrs. Wallace Sr. found it even harder to respond, and so Nicole grabbed onto her arm and said, "Of course. Grandma has always been taking good care of herself, so she looks very young." Mr. Johnston Sr. smiled. Indeed. With such a temperament, Mrs. Wallace Sr. must have been a beauty during her younger days. Mr. Johnston Sr., you flatter me. After receiving one praise after another, Mrs. Wallace Sr. could only respond shyly. Mr. Johnston Sr. then took his seat and the rest of the family also sat down. Mr. Riddle Sr. ordered the servants to serve the food and pour the wine. After some chatter, everyone ate as they went straight into the heart of the matter. Mr. Johnston Sr. spoke first. Nicole is, after all, marrying Jared. As Jared's grandfather, I cannot be stingy. So, I've decided to send 10% of the shares under my name in the Johnston Group to Nicole. The moment he said that, everyone else was stunned. They really did not expect Mr. Johnston Sr. to regard Nicole so highly that he would even transfer a part of the shares under his name to her. Even if it was just 10%, it was still tens of billions in assets. Both Daniel and Gloria were stunned. Both Sean and Steve too were surprised, as they did not expect Mr. Johnston Sr. to be so generous. Also, I have prepared gifts for Nicole's parents and brothers. I'm having them sent to your residence. Upon hearing that they were to receive gifts as well, Daniel felt flattered. Mr. Johnston Sr., you don't have to go through the trouble for us. Yes, we've received your kindness already, and I'll be glad as long as we can get the matters between the two young ones settled. However, Mr. Johnston Sr. waved off his concerns. How can that be? The Johnstons won't do injustice by a lady marrying into the family, nor by her family. So, consider this matter settled. Seeing that Mr. Johnston Sr. was so determined, Daniel could not say anything else. Jared smiled as he looked at Nicole. This is just Grandpa's gift. I have prepared another set of my own. Don't worry. Shabby isn't how I do things. She did not expect Jared to make other preparations in addition to this. This grandfather and grandson sure were lavish with their gifts. Mr. Riddle Sr. could not help but be flattered as he said, I'll also allocate some of my assets as Nicole's dowry. Let it never be said that I treat Jared shabbily. Yet, Mr. Johnston Sr. shook his head. No need for that. It's the Johnstons who are taking a wife, so there's no need for the talk of dowry. As long as Nicole herself is willing to marry into the family, it's the fortune of us Johnstons. Seeing that Mr. Johnston Sr. regarded Nicole so highly, the entire Riddle family was moved beyond words. It was an absolute blessing for Nicole to be able to find such in-laws. But they also knew that Nicole's brilliance and excellence was the thing that made Mr. Johnston Sr. hold her in such high regard. Even if the 5 brothers could not bear to see their little sister marry out of the family, upon seeing how sincere Mr. Johnston Sr. and Jared were, they could only give her their blessings. The meal was a very harmonious one. When it came to determining the date, everyone looked at Jared. Jared looked at Nicole in the eyes and said, I can't wait to marry Nicole, and I plan to go to Panem with Nicole to register our marriage. Then our wedding will be held half a month later at Bailey Island. When she heard that Jared was planning the wedding at such a romantic place, Gloria was touched. Jared, you sure have it all planned out. But Nicole's focus was not on that. So, the wedding is in half a month's time? How impatient is this man? Jared nodded. Of course. Unless you want it to be held earlier. Nicole suddenly found herself at a loss for words. Mr. Johnston Sr. then guffawed. That settles it then. Since Mr. Johnston Sr. had said so, no one had anything else to add. And thus, the matter was settled. Nicole could not help but sigh. The brave had not been found yet, The issue with the raven had yet to be resolved, and there were still so many things to do. Yet, this guy did not care about all of that and planned to get married in half a month's time. However, when she saw Jared's happy face, she could not bring herself to say anything more. Forget it. Let's deal with that bit by bit later. The meal then ended in a pleasant atmosphere. By then, it was already late, and while Mr. Johnston Sr. was bidding farewell to Mr. Riddle Sr., Jared sneaked a glance at Nicole. "I'll send Grandpa back first, then I'll come to look for you." Nicole returned the glance and said, "No need. We'll see each other during the weekends anyway." Jared, however, sounded reluctant as he lowered his voice. "I want to see you every day though." Nicole blushed a little and said nothing else. Jared and Mr. Johnston Sr. left the manor together and got into the car after saying goodbye. It was only then did Mr. Riddle Sr. heave a sigh of relief as he looked at Daniel, Gloria and Nicole with a look of surprise. "Oh dear, I really didn't expect Mr. Johnston Sr. to come bearing so many things. It really surprised me." Daniel nodded in agreement. Yeah, Mr. Johnston Sr. and Jared really went all out. The whole family was amazed as they returned to the living room. In the living room, the verdant brilliance sitting on the table was particularly eye-catching. Mr. Riddle Sr. could not help but sigh. How much does this cost? For Mr. Johnston Sr. to give it away like that? Nicole pondered for a bit before saying, "It's almost invaluable. Mr. Johnston Sr. probably used a lot of money and influence to get it. The value of this emerald isn't measurable by money alone." When Mr. Riddle Sr. heard that, he was dumbfounded. "It's all thanks to you, or else Grandpa would never have had the opportunity to see such a collection piece in my lifetime." Nicole shook her head. "It's your own fortune, Grandpa." Mr. Riddle Sr. immediately got the servants to carefully bring the treasure to the study. Steve looked at Nicole and said, "I didn't expect you to be such an appraiser. How many other things do you know that we don't know about yet?" "Yeah, Nicole, you're just so multi-talented." Samuel was surprised. However, Nicole shook her head. "It's just something I picked up in the organization. Everyone there knows it." The more she tried to understate things, the more they felt Nicole was more than she let on. Daniel looked at the time and saw that it was already late and they should be going back. "All right, Grandpa's tired too. Let's go back first. We'll be very busy for the coming days." "Yes. After this, all of you must help out with Nicole's wedding. No one's allowed to slack off." "Don't worry about it." Samuel nodded. "Yeah, just tell us what we need to do, Mom," Spencer added. It was only then that Gloria felt relieved. Good. The family chatted with one another as they prepared to bid Mr. Riddle Sr. goodbye. Yet, unexpectedly, Damien suddenly entered through the front door. When he saw that Daniel and the rest were about to leave, his expression was dark. He had only heard that the Johnston and Riddle family were about to discuss their marriage, and Mr. Riddle Sr. did not even inform him, the eldest son, of such an important matter. He only involved Daniel's family and the Johnston family. When he arrived just now, his car happened to pass by Jared's car. And that reaffirmed the matter. He had been holding everything in for all these days. His daughter being disabled, his son injured, he endured it all for the sake of his position in the company. But today, he now understood completely that he no longer had a place in this family. His position in the company was now in a precarious position too. So, he could bear that no longer and rushed over directly. When he saw Damien, Daniel asked, "Damien, why are you here?" When Mr. Riddle Sr. saw Damien, he too was a little taken aback. He had not told Damien to come to the family residence, so why was Damien here now? Damien stared at Mr. Riddle Sr. and said, "Dad, this eldest son of yours seems to have less and less standing in your mind nowadays. You didn't inform me about this important matter of discussing marriage with the Johnston family." Mr. Riddle Sr.'s expression turned a little grim as he said, "I heard that an accident befell both Chloe and Everett, so I didn't want to disturb you." Seeing that his father was being questioned, Daniel responded in a somewhat miffed tone. "Today's marriage matter is between my daughter and Mr. Jared, so it's normal for just the parents to be present. Your presence wouldn't have affected anything." Damien immediately blew his top. Doesn't affect anything, huh? Back then, I would be present for every matter, big or small. Since when did just your presence alone suffice, huh, Daniel? If my absence in family matters doesn't affect anything, will my absence in company matters not matter anymore in the future then? Seeing that Damien was dissatisfied because Mr. Riddle Sr. had not informed him about this, Mr. Riddle Sr. looked somewhat irritable. Damien is getting more and more difficult and irascible lately. Mr. Riddle Sr. could not help but say, Damien, when you were managing the company, did Daniel say anything? Now all of the company's businesses rely upon Daniel's family. How can you be so dissatisfied? Damien totally did not expect Mr. Riddle Sr. to be so frank with him. Although Damien was a little taken by surprise, he decided to be frank as well. I'll readily admit that the reason the company's doing so well right now is because of Daniel's family. But the reason we survived this long is because of me breaking my back running the company. You shouldn't just discard my past contributions just like that. Mr. Riddle Sr. frowned. Since when did I discard your past contributions? I just want you to make way for your better. The Riddle family isn't yours alone. Only when the family and the company is in a good spot will everyone in the family enjoy its benefits. The company should be run by those who are most capable. You, of all people, should know this logic best. When he heard the words, make way for your betters, Damien clenched his fist tightly. He could not help but to say mockingly, so, father, you feel that I'm just hogging the position and doing minor work like an extra, so you want me to make way for someone else, right? Mr. Riddle Sr. was surprised. Damien, the reason I got you to manage the company back then was because you were the calmest and composed among the 4 brothers. Why are you being so difficult now? It's because you're being biased. Damien roared angrily. Don't forget, the only reason Daniel's family is on the rise is because Nicole happened to be the inheritor of the Fire Crest. Yet, you've been using the excuse of not having enough manpower to get Sean, Steve and even Stanley, who hasn't even finished university, into the company. What sort of position are you putting me and Dylan in? As mere window dressing in the company. You. Mr. Riddle Sr. was so angered he staggered a little. Seeing that something was not right, Nicole immediately held Mr. Riddle Sr. as she spat angrily at Damien. Uncle Damien, this isn't something Grandpa said, but you yourself. It looks like you at least have some self-awareness. Having Nicole talk back to him, Damien was even more furious. You have no place to speak here. However, Nicole sneered back at him. Don't forget, Uncle Damien, I hold the majority of the shares in the company. Of course, I have a say. Nicole's words caused Damien to choke on his for a moment, but he immediately spat back. Ha, so this is father's most beloved granddaughter, being so insolent after getting her hands on the shares. She's outright disrespectful to her elders now. Seeing that Damien was mocking Mr. Riddle Sr., Nicole snapped back. I wonder who's the one disrespecting their elders. Me or you, Uncle Damien? Where's your respect for Grandpa? You. Damien was extremely frustrated, but he knew that he was unable to out-argue Nicole, so he could only yell, You're good at twisting words. Nicole only sneered coldly in return. You can mock me however you want, Uncle Damien, but you shouldn't be like that to Grandpa. It's not like he didn't give you a chance, but comparing the company you've managed in the past 10 years to the company under my father now, don't you have any awareness of your own capabilities? Once again, Damien had his capabilities made fun of by Nicole and was furious. What do you mean by that? Are you saying that I'm incapable? Nicole was indifferent. Ah, so you could figure that out. Good, it seems like you're not terminally foolish at the very least. Nicole. Damien was thoroughly enraged and wanted to step forward to hit her. However, Daniel went and stood between Damien and Nicole as he grabbed Damien's hand. Damien, no matter how overboard you went against me, I didn't mind it. But Nicole is my daughter, and it's not up to you to punish her. As he said that, Daniel pushed Damien's hand away forcefully. Damien could not help but be shocked. Is this the same Daniel that I used to boss around before? He was pissed. Ha ha ha. Fine, Daniel, fine. I couldn't tell at all that you have such strength. So you've been playing meek all along, waiting for the right moment to strike. Now that you've made it big, I'm nothing to you now. Seeing that Damien was still trying to spew nonsense, Nicole frowned and said, if you want to be something in someone's eyes, you should have either ability or honor. Tell me, Uncle Damien, which do you have right now? Damien glared at Nicole and yelled, don't you dare try to mock me. You think you have the right to talk about me after Grandpa gave you those shares? You're nothing if it weren't for the Firecrest or Jared. Nothing. It's true that I don't have much. But for these two things, you can take it if you dare. Nicole sarcastically said, being able to depend on others is also an ability. I guess you don't even have that ability. Do you only know how to be unreasonable like your wife? Those words came one after another. Damien was speechless at Nicole's sarcasm. What a great show, Nicole. I can't fight you now, but you better remember this, good tunes come from an old fiddle. It won't be good for you once you offend me. Damien gave Nicole a death stare. His gaze was like a wolf's scowl. Nicole could sense the threatening tone in Damien's voice. She turned around, glanced at Mr. Riddle Sr., and said, Grandpa, it seems like the Riddle family is separated now. Previously, we only separated the shares. Now that we have to protect the company, I guess we'll have to split up the company too. Since Uncle Damien's so confident, he can just lead his own department as an individual division. That way, he won't feel as if he's in my father's shadow. Damien could not help but tremble. Nicole is such a cunning brat. She's actually tricking that old man into separating the company's operations. Previously, Damien could at least receive some dividends at the end of the year. If the company were to be split up, the company's performance would not have anything to do with him anymore. Dad. Damien wanted to comment further. However, Mr. Riddle Sr. was already exhausted. Now that Nicole is the company's biggest shareholder, she can decide. Dad. Damien was stunned. He did not expect Mr. Riddle Sr. to support Nicole. I'm already old. My own son disregards my opinions. In the future, don't ask me anything about the company or the family. All of you can settle it on your own. As soon as he finished speaking, Mr. Riddle Sr. angrily walked up the stairs. Damien did not expect such an outcome. Initially, he thought that his appearance was entirely reasonable. However, Nicole turned the tables with just a few words. Instead, he himself turned into an unfilial son. Uncle Damien, stop looking. Grandpa had already spoken. Tomorrow you and Uncle Dylan can get ready to open a branch office. It's better for you to leave the head office. That way, we won't burden you either. This way, you would be able to see your own ability clearly as well. Isn't that right? Nicole sarcastically said to Uncle Damien. He wants to fight Nicole? There's no chance. Damien was so angry that his whole body was trembling. His heart stuttered, and he gritted his teeth. Nicole, Daniel Riddle, all of you are evil. Just wait and see. After he finished speaking, Damien turned around and left hurriedly. He was worried that he would not be able to control his anger and faint. Seeing that Damien had finally left, everyone let out a sigh of relief. Gloria was a little worried. Nicole, by doing this, aren't you chasing Damien and Dylan out of the company? That's not good, right? Nicole's gaze was getting darker. I'm also being cautious, in case someone tries to play dirty tricks in the company. If that happens, our company would suffer a huge loss. I'd rather our company splits up. That way we can maintain our company. Daniel and Sean seemed to agree as well. Even if we didn't split, Uncle Damien's mood isn't something we can manage in just a few days. Leaving him here would only cause future issues. Nicole did the right thing. I don't even have your determination. Daniel could not help but sigh. Nicole smiled. You'll get used to it. Daniel nodded. Everything was settled now, and Mr. Riddle Sr. had already gone upstairs to rest. Nicole left the Riddle family manor with her parents and brothers. When they reached home, Nicole waited for a while, but Jared did not appear. This guy, he even said that he wanted to find her. He kept Nicole waiting until 10-something. Nicole decided not to wait anymore. Unexpectedly, when she opened the door, she could tell that someone was inside. "Who's in there?" Nicole frowned. Sure enough, she saw Jared appear beside her. Jared immediately hugged her. "What took you so long?" Nicole looked at Jared and said, "Why did you break into a private property again?" Jared smiled. "Obviously, it's because I missed you. I want to hug you to sleep tonight." Nicole frowned. "How dare you say that? Who was the one that caused me to be late this morning? You can't sleep here tonight." The burden she had to face for not getting a good night's rest, the back pain she had to suffer when she went to school. Nicole did not want him to stay anymore. She wanted to rest at night. After the weekend, we'll be husband and wife legally. What's so bad about living together a few days earlier? Nicole looked at him with a firm gaze. "Of course it's a bad thing. My back is in pain." Jared immediately understood what she meant and smiled wickedly. "Then, for tonight, I'll be a little gentler." "Shut up, you brute. I won't let you touch me even once tonight." This guy really had no self-control. Nicole could not let Jared have his way. Jared pursed his lips. "You don't have a say. Come, let's take a shower first." As soon as he finished talking, Jared carried Nicole in his arms. "You, let go of me." Nicole was blushing while wriggling. However, Jared raised his eyebrows proudly. "You could scream louder. I don't mind it if Mom and Dad hear you." "You." This nasty fellow. Nicole could only suppress all that she wanted to say. She did not dare utter another word. That night, she was destined to be played by Jared as he pleased. The next few days, Jared would sneak into her house every night. That was the very first time Nicole felt it was a bad thing for her to live nearby. However, she became even more worried about life after marriage. They would have to be together every day. How was she going to manage his energetic body? For 3 days in a row, Nicole was not in the best condition. She kept yawning in class. Coincidentally, Nicole was also having a computer competition. Early in the morning, Lulu had already noticed Nicole's appearance. She could not help but worry about Nicole. "Nicole, you don't seem good these few days. Did you not get enough rest? You don't need to go for any shoots after school, right? Why are you still tired? You even come to school on the dot." Lulu and June's faces were filled with doubt. A top student like Nicole was rarely late for school. What was going on? After praying to Jared's ancestors deep down in Nicole's heart, she forced a smile. "To prepare for this competition, I've been burning the midnight oil." "No wonder. Don't worry. With your skills, I'm sure you'll be fine." "That's right. If even you can't get first place, everyone else would have it worse." As the two girls were trying to comfort Nicole, they noticed Regina. After that incident, she looked for the teacher and withdrew from the competition. What an embarrassment. No one has been talking to her these days. Nicole glanced at Regina's pitiful backside. She probably didn't expect this. She tried her best to transfer to San Joto, just so that she could compete with me. And yet now, she has become a nobody in class. She even bought a lot of things for our classmates. However, no one took her bribe. For someone like this, it's better for them to transfer schools. Lulu and June were genuinely giving suggestions for Regina. However, Nicole replied, "Ignore her. You reap what you sow." She would most definitely have to take accountability for what she did. Regina was too high-key. She had already offended Nicole on the first day of school. Anyone who did not dare offend Nicole in school would mostly stay away from Regina. No matter how much she struggled, it would be useless. At that point, some stranger walked past Regina. With a loud stomp, she stepped on Regina's foot. "Ah, what are you doing?" Regina instantly got angry and yelled. That student rolled her eyes at Regina. A bumpkin will always be a bumpkin. It was just a tiny step on the leg and she's already creating a scene. Who are you calling a bumpkin? Regina had never been labeled a bumpkin her whole life. She immediately got mad and stood up angrily. Did your parents not teach you manners? Every student at San Giotto came from a good family background. That student did not bother about Regina but squinted her eyes and threatened Regina. Aren't you acting a little too arrogant for a newcomer? Do you need some lessons on how to behave? Regina's eyes widened at the threat. But after Regina went home the last time, her dad had told her about Nicole's real identity. He also warned Regina that there are many people in San Giotto which she should never offend. So, Regina could only grit her teeth and hold back. I'm in no mood to deal with you. You better watch yourself the next time. Regina found an excuse for herself and returned to her seat quietly. When Lulu saw what happened, she could not help but laugh. Haha. Regina has finally learned how to behave. June replied, yeah, she had already offended the wrong person on her first day of school. She better learn how to behave. Nicole ignored Regina. If Regina were to offend Nicole, someone in school would naturally take care of it. Sure enough, Regina was not only being treated as an outcast during recess, but also other times. However, Regina could only keep it in. She was jealous that Nicole was being surrounded by people at every minute. In the afternoon, the computer competition was about to begin. The teacher had arranged for a big bus to fetch the students. When Nicole and the others stood up, the whole class wished them good luck. They were hoping that Nicole and the team would bring back some good news. Deep down, Regina was annoyed. Nicole had snatched away such an opportunity to show off. If Regina knew, she would have learned more about computers before. It was a pity that the teacher would not give Regina such an opportunity anymore. She could only sit there helplessly while watching Nicole and the boys walk out of the class. Humph. I don't believe that you'll win anything, Regina muttered. Deep in her heart, she was hoping for the worst for Nicole. Soon Nicole and the team boarded the bus. In the bus, Ryder and Gary were the leaders. Preston and Edwin were sitting in front while the rest were seated behind. When Nicole got on the bus, Preston waved to her. Although snow and rain had been expelled, Preston knew that those girls brought it upon themselves. So, even if he felt sad about it, he never resented Nicole for it. Nicole nodded without uttering a word. Then, she walked behind with Bradley and the rest. Looking at how humble Nicole was to sit at the back, everyone felt unsettled. Fortunately, the car moved quickly. After half an hour or so, they arrived at the venue of the competition. This competition was at national level. All the schools had sent their best elites. Naturally, Nicole saw Northern Institute's team present. Zeke was the one heading the team. At that moment, Zeke's teacher was happily leading the team. He wore a red sash. It was inscribed with the words, "Reigning Champions." As for Zeke, the previous championships medal was hanging around his neck. Zeke seemed to be annoyed. He stood there while smiling embarrassedly. However, his teacher seemed to be enjoying the attention they were getting. Quite a number of colleagues stopped and said to him, "Mr. Hardy, Zeke is representing your school again this year?" "Of course. Zeke is our school's ace. If he's not here, then who would be?" Mr. Hardy lifted his chin and patted Zeke's shoulders. The other teacher sighed. Zeke's skills are only comparable to a hacker. The only people who could compete with him are the Finley brothers from Royal Creek Institute, let alone our team. When Mr. Hardy heard that, he replied happily, "Zeke's skills have been advancing very quickly every year. The Finley brothers were no match for him last year. It would be even more impossible for them to beat Zeke this year." Those words sounded particularly harsh when Ryder's homeroom teacher, who was leading the team, heard it. At that moment, he could not take it in anymore and immediately approached Mr. Hardy. "Mr. Hardy, what a wonderful sight to see. It was just one championship and you're already criticizing people behind their backs. That's not nice, isn't it?" When Mr. Hardy saw Mr. Zach, he laughed. Over the past few years, they always went head to head in the competition. Before Zeke appeared, the Finley brothers always won the championship. But since Zeke entered Northern Institute, Mr. Hardy could finally stand proudly. "I did not criticize you behind your back. Aren't you standing right here? No matter how many championships you've won, I'm sure you've heard the saying, each new generation exceeds the last one, right? Last year, Zeke was the best of the best. Even the Finley brothers could only last about 20 minutes before losing to him. His skills are beyond that of the Finley brothers. Although it had been a year, the Finley brothers would have improved their skills, but Zeke would have done so too. In Mr. Hardy's opinion, no one could defeat Zeke. The Finley brothers were already defeated. It was impossible for them to fight Zeke. At that moment, Ryder and Gary did not look good. They seemed to be bursting in anger. However, Zeke was really skillful. When they were facing Zeke during last year's finals, the Finley brothers lost to Zeke badly. His hacking skills were definitely superb. However, Zeke was not worried about the Finley brothers at that moment. His gaze shifted to the team and was locked on Nicole, who slowly stepped forward. Instantly, Zeke's face turned pale. Nicole? What's she doing here? At that moment, Nicole was also looking at Zeke and pursed her lips. Zeke is also participating in this competition? Then, I guess it's going to be an interesting one. Nicole did not bother about anyone else there. But for Lucifer and Spectre, as old partners, they were also ranked as the top 1 and top 2 hackers on the Hunters. If the two of them were to compete, who would win? Zeke's skills were better than Gary's. However, Nicole had never thought of competing with Zeke. Instead, they became partners. So, they had never competed with each other before. In an instant, Nicole became interested in the idea of competing with Zeke. It would be interesting. However, Zeke did not seem to be happy when he saw Nicole. Gosh! Zeke would rather compete with both Finley brothers at the same time, instead of competing with Nicole. Gary could tell that Zeke did not look good. He suddenly remembered that Zeke had appeared at the Royal Creek Institute's field before. He vaguely remembered that Nicole brought Zeke for a jog. Do the two of them know each other from before? The two teachers were still arguing with each other when Gary questioned Nicole, who had just arrived beside him. You and Zeke knew each other before this, right? Nicole did not look at Gary, but she did not deny it. Gary immediately knew the answer. The both of them must have known each other. When Gary recalled Zeke's performance in the previous competition, Gary immediately thought of something. Subconsciously, he murmured to Nicole, "Is he also a hacker on the Hunters?" Nicole's gaze darkened. She squinted her eyes and looked at Gary. The air was covered with a blanket of silence. It was only then that Gary came back to his senses. He realized that he had just thought out loud. I was just guessing, because you..." Nicole frowned. "You know who I am."
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.